Communism was coming to America, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Well, the low performers probably thought it was a great idea, and the high performers, this doesn't work for me.
We even had our own separate checking accounts back then because your mother had money in hers and I didn't have any money in mine.
Some jobs are just dirty, and AI is not replacing that kind of stuff.
Have a passion for what you do and then be the best at it, and you will be successful.
Determine your passion, discipline, financial strategy, how to start a business, everything like that.
You can't charge Nordstrom pricing and give Walmart service.
So how many times has that happened?
The truth?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. There's how many weeks in 35 years?
Great. Determine what I want and earn it. It's not just going to be given to you.
I think it's more terrible to enable people and not give them a taste of real reality.
Yeah.
No worky, no eating. Since this is your podcast, I'll start off since I'm the oldest and eldest here.
Okay.
Once again,
we're starting. Here we go.
We're starting. Here we go. This is like one of the funnest things for me to do, is to sit across the table from you and talk. And normally that does not happen. People should know that in a business, it's a rare thing, even father, son, when you have a chance to talk and answer questions and talk about things that are important. So this will be fun. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but here we go.
Here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Builders Lounge. Now, the Builders Lounge, the whole focus of it is to talk about whether it's engine building or building a business or building anything. That's our goal, is to really just have an open thing to talk about whatever the crap we want to talk about. And so thanks, Dad, for joining us again in your own shop and being a guest. The focus today on the Builders Lounge is what it took to build a business from your perspective, the struggles, the joys, and everything in between. And so, yeah. Okay. So this is going to get hopefully personal. I would like everybody to get to know you a little bit more, from not only who you are, but what it took for you to build a business to what it is today after 35 years. I think there's so many fun stories. And anyway, everybody buckle up, join us, because I'm excited for this. I've been, through most of your building of this business, but not a lot of people have.
You were born 3 months before I started this place.
Yeah.
So you actually been through the whole thing.
So that brings me to our first question. What inspired you to build the business or to start your own shop?
Communism.
Communism.
Okay. Communism was coming to America, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the story is, I've told the story so many times, but the story was, you were born, me and Mom finally decided maybe we ought to get married. We'd been living together for 5 years. And back then in the 90s and, late 80s and 90s, early 90s, a lot of people lived together. I don't know what they're doing now, but, we just lived together.
Right.
And then you came along, and I wanted to get married, and finally your mother said yes, and which I was thrilled about. And so we went away for 3 days, for a 3-day weekend up to Jackson Hole. And that's back when Jackson Hole was actually a cowboy town. And we got married, got the bartender and the waitress to be the witnesses, and got the justice of the peace there, the judge, and he came to the hotel room and married us. And I came back from that in the morning and got fired. The morning I got back from getting married, I got fired. But what had happened before that, for like 6 months, this business that I was working for was a dealership. They wanted me to be a team leader, which was fine. I was at the time 29 years old.
And this was a Dodge dealership.
Dodge and Toyota.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dodge Toyota dealership. And they wanted me to be a team leader, and I was fine to do that, help out and but what it was they were taking 4 mechanics and me, so there'd be 5 guys working on a team. And they were saying, okay, if you guys flag, it's flat rate. If you guys flag 100 hours in a week, or I'm just throwing numbers out here, we're going to split it up 5 ways. So each of you is going to get 20 hours. And of course, I would have made more on an hourly. I would state that, so I'd have been back then, I don't know, it was $10 an hour or whatever. I don't even know. And these other guys would have made maybe 6 or 7 or something. Again, these are just numbers. But basically, we're going to take all the labor, we're going to throw it in a pot, we're going to spread it around equally 5 ways.
So there's your communism.
There's my communism.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe communism had come to America. So when I came back from getting married, they had a new management team, and they kind of called me in the office, said, Dave, I don't think they knew I got married. It wasn't a big thing. Me and Allie had been living together for 5 years. And they said, we're going to let you go. You don't want to be on this team. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I said, I'll make you a crap ton of money. Well, they didn't really care, which is fine. So I said, that's okay. I'll go get another job. So I went to other dealerships, and every dealership I went into, they were like, oh, Dave, we'd love to have you. We'd like you to be a team leader. And my ears poked up. I was like, okay, what does that mean? And it was the same thing. What it was, apparently, this consulting firm had come through this area, the Intermountain area, and I don't know if it went to the whole United States, but they kind of said to the dealer principals, hey, you can make more money if you run your service department like this. Mm-hmm. And they have since gone away from that. In fact, it didn't last for 6 to 8 months because I got a phone call. I started my business in a storage unit because I wasn't going to work for anybody. I was not going to be I'm not a communist. I'm a proud American, meaning, I don't tread on me. I can, I'll take care of myself.
Well, the low performers probably thought it was a great idea, and the high performers probably realized really quick, this doesn't work for me.
I don't think it would work in most of these industries, especially with blue collar guys, working class guys like me, and plumbers and electricians or framers or concrete guys or whatever, It's an opportunity. A business is an opportunity for you to excel if you have the discipline to do it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the discipline and the tenacity, and it's a big mixture of a lot of things. Yeah. You can be wildly successful, as a lot of people have proven even more than me, or you can be less than successful. I think, what is it? 85% of businesses go out in 3 to 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, I think
because you run out of steam, man. You better have a lot of steam in your shorts if you're going to go the distance.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so you went through a few dealerships, all had this team communism mentality.
I didn't take a job. They offered me jobs. I didn't take it. And your mom, of course, we got you in diapers, in a bottle, screaming every night, keeping me up till 4 in the morning or whatever, And your mom was supportive, but I could tell, she was nervous. Your mom. Mm-hmm. And she was nervous and stuff. And so I said, I'm going to do my own thing. And she was quite supportive of it. In fact, we even had our own separate checking accounts back then because your mother had money in hers and I didn't have any money in mine. But she lent me $8,000. When I started in that storage unit that you know about over there on Redwood Road, because I needed an air compressor, I needed a couple of floor jacks, I needed some things that I didn't have in my toolbox, right. And she lent me that money to kind of get up and going, which at the time, $8,000 was a lot of money, with everything we had. Yeah. And I was unemployed. Right. So good going, Allie. Appreciate that.
So it sounds like most people, I think, look at this as like a fairy tale. You started this, you jumped from a dealership into your own business, and then here you are 35 years later, a successful investor, business owner. But that's what I'm after, is the but. What kind of things did you learn or that kicked you in the butt when you first started the business that you didn't anticipate that really shocked you?
How much fear? Fear can be a driver. Mm-hmm. Fear is, I've talked to, I'm lucky enough to know a lot of people in my life because, I'm 65 years old, and I've just had a lot of opportunities to meet a lot of wealthy people, and people that have started businesses, and grown huge businesses. You know, I actually know a couple of billionaires, and you know, they started from nothing.
Right.
And when you hear their story, they'll tell you the same thing. You know, what drove you to be so successful? And the both of them, same question, said fear. And
Really?
you're like, whoa, fear. And at first I was like, wow, that's pretty humbling to say you were in fear.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was in fear that I wouldn't be able to take care of you as a little baby, that, you know, your mother might say, ooh, made a bad decision, shouldn't have married this guy. Fear that, you know, hey, somebody's going to see I can't do it.
Right.
You know, I'm really not that good of a mechanic. I'm really not that hard of a worker, you know, because in my head, I'm thinking I'm Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find out, you know, you're going to find out how much of a Superman you are. And with that being said, it's a mixture of a lot of things that make you successful. I think you have to be disciplined. You know, some people say motivation. Motivation gets you to the dance floor, but you know, if you're going to go ask some girls to dance, man, you better have some discipline. You know, you got a lot of fear you need to overcome. You got to have some, you got to be tough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
were there any experiences that made you question that, like, oh, am I tough enough? Am I smart enough? As you were starting the business, that you were like, wow, I did not expect this.
daily.
What kind of things?
You know, back then you didn't have, there was no cell phones, no computers. You know, advertising was basically, Mom, we print up a bunch of business cards and we handed it out to everybody that we knew, which, you know, so there were 2 days of business cards we were done. We didn't know that many people. Mm-hmm. And every day you wake up and you're like, do I have any work? And you know, as you know, it's still, what's one of the first questions I ask you? I mean, now see, I get to interview you. What is one of the questions I ask you daily?
Yeah. Do we have enough work?
Do we have enough work?
Are the bays full? Is
Yeah.
everybody busy? Yeah.
I cannot let my brain relax from that. I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking, oh, and so that's part of that fear. And I think I'm not so sure that we all don't have that. Even if you wake up and you have a job that you go to, your fear is, am I performing well enough? Am I getting to where I want to go? You know, things like that. What you don't want to let is the fear to overtake you. And we all experience that. And when we do, then we lose our minds and we're not as effective as we could be.
Yeah. So you talk about that discipline and this fear, you know, driving you to make sure that your shop is full and stuff like that. How did that translate into how much time you worked when you first started the business? I mean, were you working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
No.
How was it?
You know, I've always tried to not work on Sunday, and I'm not an extremely religious person. I'm a Christian, but I've always felt that one day off a week was good for your soul. And, you know, a lot of people think that. So I would work Monday through Saturday. Very rarely would I ever work a Sunday, you know, and I think you've known that in your life. You know, there's sometimes you got to do it because there's something going on and, you know, the parking lot needs to be paved or, you know, floors need to be, you know, painted or whatever, you know, but for the most part, you know, you work all the time. I remember I used to get up at 4 a.m. I'd come home at 10 at night and, Mom would, you know, shove food under my chin and I'd slop it up and fall asleep and get up and go back to work because I didn't know how else to be successful. You know, I don't know. The only thing I knew was how to work. Mm-hmm. And so if you gave me work, I felt like I would be successful. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that and they don't really realize it, you know. I mean, I see guys out here framing houses here in Utah in the dead of winter. You know, and those dudes, man, 3 days later, that house will be up. They're setting trusses on the roof, you know.
It's amazing.
And there's a freaking snowstorm going on. You know, and I'm thinking these boys, you know, there's some tough dudes out there. Roofers are the same way. Plumbers are the same way.
Right.
You know, all these trades, man, they're so, you know, nothing gets done. You know, as you know, we got invited to the Formula One premiere with Brad Pitt before pre-release, and one of my questions to the director, he didn't answer, but we'll see, but was, how much do you highlight the mechanics in Formula One? Because as flashy as all the drivers are, and we all love to see race cars go around the track, nothing happens, bro.
Without it getting built, fixed, tuned up,
and constantly maintained,
right.
And the drivers, you see the way when they win a race, what do? They run over to their team and they just jump into them like a crowd, like a crowd rush, because they know, they don't get to live their dream without mechanics. It's the same way with everybody in America. None of us get to live our dreams, live in a nice home, have a community, all the services that we require so that we can exist without a lot of brain damage going on, without these.
Yeah.
And that's why, I know this, I'm getting kind of jazzed about this. I'm so excited about it. Well, I'm excited about AI, Why am I excited about AI? Because it's going to put the hard focus on guys like me and you that produce things that a robot ain't going to do.
Right.
You're not going to get some robot bent over a fender. Now, can you use AI to help you diagnose a car and things like that? Sure.
Right.
But nah, you're not going to get a robot to fix that car.
Or put up a house or fix your plumbing at your home or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going away.
It's not going to go away.
Right.
Yeah. So power to the man.
Power to the man. It makes me think of that show that Mike Rowe did, Dirty Jobs, that really highlighted people in the trade of, that some jobs are just dirty, but it takes real people, real craftsmen that care about what they're doing, and AI is not replacing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Mike Rowe, what a great hero that America needs at this time, the world really needs right now at this time. The guy's been preaching, I think I'm older than him, so I've been preaching this longer than him, but he just, got a bigger platform. But, I am so thrilled that somebody has finally, like that guy, has finally taken up the mantle and said, you don't need to go to college.
Right.
You don't need, in fact, what a burden to so many people. Can you imagine your old man, dude, going to college? I barely graduated high school, couldn't go to class. All I wanted to do was go surfing or go fishing or something like that, Couldn't go to class. Didn't mean I was stupid.
Right.
It just meant that schooling wasn't for me. And I think so many young men and young women out there, go through high school, get up to high school and everything. And because of the way society and their parents and America and, all this pressure is like, here it comes. Now what are you going to do with your life?
Yeah. You got to go to college.
You got to go to college, and you're not going to college. Oh my!
You're not going to be successful.
You're not going to be successful.
Right.
All that weight on you is just overwhelming to so many youth today, and it's a lie.
Yeah,
it's a lie.
It's a propaganda that they, to fund a business called college.
Called college. You're right. And then people go into debt. I mean, this. We take a 20-year-old guy that's got Shazba. I mean, the guy's, if he's a good worker.
Shazba.
That's
okay.
We'll get. I'll get a.
We'll have to look that up.
A dictionary out at the end of this. There'll be a dictionary.
Okay. I get what you mean. Some Shazba.
Some Shazba. Yeah. But if you get a guy at 20 years old that's has a passion for whatever, I don't want to be a plumber, but I tell you what, I know guys that started their own little plumbing business. And they're doing so well, They got trucks, they got guys working for them, They got good jobs, they got contractors that depend on them and things like that. And it starts out that they, just went and put in a faucet or mounted a toilet on a floor. And now they're doing construction sites with, 100 homes in them, and they got the contract to do every home. Same with HVAC, same with the guy that's doing the flat concrete work. I mean, they just go on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Have a passion for what you do and then be the best at it, and you will be successful. If you lean forward, keep your feet moving, man, and don't stop.
Yeah. I think that's the problem with some people. I won't say everybody. Some people go into college with a purpose, a plan. They know that a certain field that they're studying is their passion, and that's what they want to do. And they're maybe doing internships or something to get themselves involved. And actually working in that industry. But I think what commonly happens is people, because I don't want to discount, learning something, dedicating yourself for a few years can be extremely valuable to an employer, or if you're going to start a business, if you went to study and do that specific thing. But a lot of people go to college and they get a degree, and then they get out in the work field and they're like, oh, I freaking hate this.
Well, the thing is
I don't want to do this. I want to do, I went to school to be, a teacher, or, whatever it may be,
whatever.
And then they get doing it every day and they're like, oh, I don't like this.
Well, that's why, I go back to the word passion. I was lucky. When I look back on my life, all the problems I had one lucky thing. I knew from a very early age that I like to fix things. Mm-hmm. Whether it was my bicycle, the first car I had, honestly, I will never work on an air-cooled engine in my life again. I did work for Porsche for a while, so I'll work on Porsche, but I'm talking Volkswagens. Won't do them. But that was my first car, is a Volkswagen Bug. And I got it up and running. And I remember when I was like 13 or 14 years old, it just like lit me up. I knew, I didn't know then that's what I want to do, but I knew how happy I was to do that. Right. I was throwing a paper out at the time. But I got a Bug and I tore the engine complete down piece by piece and put it back together, which isn't a big, you look back on it, it's not that big of a deal to put an air-cooled motor together. But, I got it up and running.
Right.
And I just loved it. And so that is, I think, if I had to say what is the most crucial key for you to be successful in your life, is do what you love to do. Forget about the money, forget about the prestige. You know this. I go to a party, I don't wear a tie, but I'm dressed up and there's a lot of foo-foo people around in there and things like that, and it's a political event or something like that. People always come up to me and they'll go, well, what are you doing? I'm in a room full of doctors, lawyers, business owners, real estate.
Brain surgeon.
All these kind of people.
Right.
And what do I say? I'm a mechanic. Your mother used to get tired of me saying that. She'd be like, no, he's not. He owns the business. Dave's auto. And I'd kind of like tell her, quit doing that.
Yeah.
Quit doing that. I want people to know I'm a mechanic because I'm passionate about it. If you're passionate about something, don't be ashamed of it. And even if you're a plumber,
right?
We need plumbers, man. You think of how fast everything would shut down without these people that we're talking about, the working men that's doing everything.
Right.
We'd be living in caves, man.
Yeah.
Crapping in a bucket.
Yeah. Plumbing is really important when you can't flush the toilet. Yeah.
Well,
you're a mechanic's really important when you can't drive to work or start your car.
I used to make fun of plumbers because as a mechanic I was like, I'm better than you and a plumber. But now plumbers they're quite they get into hydronics and all this stuff and boilers. I used to say the only thing a plumber had to know that was don't chew your fingernails and poop runs downhill. It's basically that's the amount of plumbing technology you needed. But like everything else, it's changed dramatically.
Right.
And plumbers make dang good livings.
Yeah.
And so do bricklayers and all these other people, Yeah. And all you got to do, even guys that cut grass,
mm-hmm.
Landscapers, what do? They buy a push mower and a weed whacker, mm-hmm. And a trailer. And then, everybody needs that.
Right.
And then they, if they're passionate about it and they get into, repairing a sprinkler for the guy.
Yeah.
And then then the guy's like, well, he shows up every day. He does good work. Hey, could you fix that flower bed? So now he's doing annual plantings and things like that. And then he's, like, well, hey, I'd like a planter box here, and all of a sudden he's moving dirt and digging basements and, because he's got all this equipment. And that's how it works. I started out in a storage shed with a 4 jack stands, a floor jack, of course my toolbox, and a air compressor, a 110 volt plug into the wall. It was crap. It was embarrassing. And then I got the other one that we blew up. Remember that one we had for 25 years? And it finally blew up.
Yeah, it sounded pretty rough for a while.
But, you start with what you got. So many times I hear on comments, people go, well, you can't do that now. What?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't start in a storage unit now. What?
Why not?
Why not?
Right.
Well, because of zoning and everything. Like what? Do you not think I had zoning people that were up my wazoo all the time telling me don't do this and don't do that? You're going to get don't do this and no, no, no and everything your whole life. No is an opportunity. You've heard the O's.
Yep.
Opposition is an opportunity with obstacles to overcome.
With options.
With options. Did I get that wrong? Yeah. With options. Obstacle is an opportunity with options to overcome.
Right.
And if you get really good at it, you obliterate your competition. That's the 5 O's. That's the secret one, but we'll reveal that here. And really what that is that's just discipline and passion combined, fueled by fear, fueled by
necessity, maybe is another term.
Yeah, a lot of, but anybody, you're kidding yourself. In fact, you're not kidding yourself. And that's the sad thing. I don't think people are really kidding themselves when they say, well, I can't do it for this. I think deep down, they're not kidding themselves. And they live a life they're not happy with. And how miserable is that? I would rather be constantly like that opposition, like, okay, am I got enough work? Am I going to make enough money? Am I going to make this customer happy? All these oppositions. Mm-hmm. I'd rather have a ton of oppositions, which are opportunities, than what? Nothing?
Right.
That's way more scarier to me, and I think if people really got honest with themselves, sat in a quiet room with a mirror in front of them and had a serious talk with themselves, they would come out of that fog and say, I'm not going to live that life.
Right.
Yeah. So do it, man. Do it.
So do you think that all of that drive and basically what you just summed up, this passion, that fueled the start of the business, what do you think kept customers coming to you?
Well,
and how did, I guess,
it wasn't.
And
my
how did
bubbling,
you get customers?
Yeah, it wasn't my bubbling personality in this industry, and I would say basically probably with any blue collar industry, when you're performing a service for somebody, I think the most important thing is honesty and fairness. Mm-hmm. Now, fairness is a two-way street. You can't just lay down the law and say this is how it is. But it comes to a point where I'm not going to compromise my quality of my work. I don't force people to do, obviously they got to pay for it. Mm-hmm. But it's my job to tell you the truth. And the best way I can put this is, people, if you come to me and it's all you got is $100 for a repair, but it's a $200 repair, I won't take your $100, because here's what happens. If I take your $100 and do a half repair, mm-hmm. you'll never, unless you're this so Christ-like, you're never going to go, oh, that Dave, he was so nice. He didn't fix my car. He didn't do a dang thing, but he only took my $100. Mm-hmm. I would much rather go, he told me the truth. I didn't get my car fixed, but he didn't take any of my money. Mm-hmm. He just told me what I needed, and I guess I'll have to either get the 200 or, I'll live without. Right. And kind of for me, I like to work with men that way. Mm-hmm. I tell people, don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me the truth, man. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to tell me what you think I want to hear just to blow smoke at me. I want the truth. And I think that was probably the most, because honestly, as you know, son, I'm not the, I've made a lot of friends in this business, in this community over 35 years having the shop here. Yeah. But there are some people that I have rubbed the wrong way. Because I'm blunt. I'll just tell you, your crap is junk, and your $100 billing will fix that thing. Mm-hmm. And they get, well, come on, can't you do something for me and everything like that. And if I can, I will. But if I can't, I can't. Right. And I think that kind of just bluntness. Plus, you got to do good quality work. Yeah. Well,
that makes a fair trade, like what you're saying. If you provide good work and fix the vehicle as needed, as long as they pay the fair value for
fair value for it.
Right.
The other thing people will talk about this. People sometimes would, I'm sure this happens with, plumbers, all the trades. People come, they want something done, and they'll go, well, that's more than the car's worth, if it needs an engine.
Right.
And I kind of blink and go, well, that wasn't how I bid the job.
Right.
I bid the job based on what it's going to cost me to do the job correctly for you, so that you have a good product and it's durable and it'll last you.
So you're saying like somebody comes in with $1,000 car, but it needs $2,000 in repair. The question is, are you
That comes back
ripping off that person, or are you just...
That comes back to what I think has been one of the most important things for me to grow my business is if, people, especially in the community, word of mouth was so big to me. Now it's social media is another avenue. It's more
like
mouths.
A word of a lot of mouths.
Yeah. But as long as you don't tell lies, once you tell a lie, then your whole life has got to be a lie, because you got to sustain the lie you told.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the most important thing. If I could tell the young people or people that are going to go into business, man, be a man of your word, in all that you do, and when you find yourself where you've maybe fallen short of that, one of the most freeing things you do in your life is just get humble real quick and say, I'm sorry. Be honest about it. Because again, here it comes. You asked me what one of the most successful things about it is when you make a mistake and you get honest about it in front of another human being. I can promise you that human being's going to look at you like, there's a guy I can deal with.
Right.
I will do business with a man that gets honest with me when he's made a mistake a whole lot more than a guy that's like swinging a bat, hitting every ball.
Right.
Because I know that's crap. You need a person you can trust that's humble enough to say, I screwed up.
Right.
I'll fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, these are great lessons. I know for me, from my perspective, it's just, I'm literally just talking with you across the table, but I hope some people grasp that are out there that are listening, that hopefully there's some people out there that are like, oh, I needed this, or I need this reality check. For me, it's been part of growing up. And so I'm grateful for that you've not only have you been blunt and just told it like it is in business, but to me as well. So hopefully, hopefully somebody out there is like, this is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, well, you turned out real well, son. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but I can tell you that, my dad told me the same thing. You got to be a man of your word.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's gone away, but I'm saying that needs to be emphasized.
Right.
I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else or anything like that, but it needs to be emphasized that, if you live your life like that, you got nothing to be ashamed about your passion.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you can lay your head down when you're done on this earth and be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
I tell you this too, because this is such a passion for me, like to do, maybe to ride on Mike Rowe's coattails, since we brought him up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be, developing a program for small businesses to figure out how to navigate this, because I'm telling you, these are some rough waters, man. There's some roughness in these waters, and if I can, and I think not only if I can, I'm sure that I can offer a lot of wisdom to young men and young women that want to start not just an auto, not an auto repair shop, but any small business, and dealing with the public, dealing with employees, going from 8 employees to 30 employees, investments that you make, how to not, screw up your cash flow. I mean, there's just a myriad of things that you got to do to be successful. But again, the most important thing is, man, you better have passion for what you do, first. If you could, think about how much time you could save people if you just look them in the eye. Here we go. I'm looking you in the eye. I'm going to tell you this. Quit looking for a job. Don't do that no more. Look for what you want to, what you're going to hit the floor running in the morning. Look to whatever that is. And if that's, fishing, surfing, then go and be the best at it, because the way the world is put together now, your opportunity with the obstacles that you're going to face, there's so many options, meaning social media. So let's say you just want to be this backcountry fisherman, and you want to take people out on these just crazy experiences and, hunting and fishing or something like that. And you're thinking, well, the opportunity today is a whole lot huger to reach an audience than it was back when I started a business. Everything.
Just passing out business cards.
Yeah, passing out business cards and hoping that somebody's going to call you and say, hey, take me fishing, Or same with, starting an auto shop, Show the quality of your craftsmanship, the accuracy and thoroughness of your craftsmanship, and social media is a way to do that. And that's another thing we're going to be talking about. I want to teach people how to use that and leverage that so that they can start from just like I did in a storage unit. And you're kidding yourself. People that say, oh, you can't do that today. You got more opportunities today than I ever had, than I ever had. I had to get in a phone book, and I had to wait for the phone book to be published. I mean, that's the true story. My first sign was a 4x8 sheet of plywood with a can of Krylon and paint my name on it, And then I wanted to get in the phone. Okay, so then I had business cards, but then I had to wait for the phone book to be published. Now, today's media, you can publish yourself that fast.
Right.
That fast. And in the phone book, you had to decide, if you're going to get an ad that big, it costs you $1,000. You want an ad, a full page ad, it's going to cost you $4,000 or something like that.
Right.
And they only did it once a year.
Right.
So you had to make sure, you had to have it all ducks in a row. And then you had to get everything, every word. Your keywords were like tune-ups, clutch repair, brake jobs, And then you had the yellow pages. Did you ever see a yellow page?
I used them. Yeah, I remember they were under our kitchen counter cabinet right by the phone.
Mom wouldn't throw them away after for the longest time.
I used them. Yeah, I used it to call friends.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But that was how you advertised. And today, so, I had to wait for all that to happen.
And then somebody to flip open, okay, automotive. I'm looking, for Dave's Automotive.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody lands on that page.
I remember my first full page ad. It was me. I got a picture of it still. It was me bent under the hood of a car, kind of looking out of it, and I'm in coveralls, like my face, like
a smoldering look.
Yeah, my smoldering look. Anyway, so these are the things that I'm excited that I hope I'm going to develop a course. Me and you're going to be involved in that, and we're going to develop a course that we can kind of kick off and let people know how to navigate this and maybe avoid a lot of pitfalls, a lot. There's a lot of potholes out here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about, speaking of a pothole, because if somebody has the drive or the passion or they know what they love, how do they go about then starting a business financially? Like, where do they go for funding? How did you do that? What did you learn from a financial aspect?
Went to your mom for $8,000.
Okay. Go to your wife. Hopefully she's loaded.
Yeah, $8,000, dude. And then, pay as you go. Play as you go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how most people going to have to start. And what does that take to do that? Seriously, that takes humility. Mm-hmm. I think so many people today, because of social media, is even made in a way that kind of makes that a little worse. I know a lot of guys see our shop, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's one of the finest shops in the United States, and I'm proud of that fact. But that's 35 years, man.
There's a lot of weekends working.
Oh, geez.
There's a lot of late nights.
And a lot of it's, and the truth is, a lot of it isn't just auto repair. A lot of that shop, and this has happened because I then was smart enough to take some of my money and not just burn it up on ridiculous things. And, ridiculous things are things that you can live without.
Right.
Do I own ridiculous things now? Mm-hmm. I do. But I can also afford them.
Right.
But sometimes I still, to this day, as you know, we just had a discussion, just the other day about, Dad, did you really need that? It was $200,000 worth of equipment. And, yeah, but, I could have waited on it and been a little smarter about it, because it caused a cash flow issue with us. But, things have changed. Back in the day, $1,000 was hard to do. I mean, literally, to update a scan tool was difficult. And so it's about humility. I drove a Dodge, a Town and Country for 20 years.
The blue Town and Country.
The blue Town and Country.
Yeah.
People would say, Dave, that sucks the coolness right out of you. Why don't you get a better car? Because that thing was paid for, and I could turn the money that I would have spent on a newer car to look good. I could buy equipment with it, and the equipment would make me money where another car wouldn't make me any money. Mm-hmm. And those are the things you got to get real with yourself. You got to get humble. Be good with it, man. Be proud. The guy that's proud of his humility, and I don't mean proud like, look at me, proud like, I'm okay. I'm okay because I've got a plan. I'm passionate about what I'm doing.
Right.
And if I need to wear, holy jeans and drive an old ratty car to get to my dream, mm-hmm. watch me go, man.
Yeah. Well, what about people pricing their service? Like you talked about, backcountry fisherman, if he's wanting to do that, or a plumber or something like that. How does somebody know how to price themselves in the industry, especially if they're starting? And how have you done that over the years?
First off, always come from the place, whatever you do, whether it's backcountry fishing, plumbing, car repair, concrete work, do your best work. Do not, I can't tolerate crappy work.
Yeah, mediocrity.
I can't.
Yeah.
It just
boils your blood.
Boils me. But here's the truth. Am I as good a mechanic or machinist today as I was when I first started out? No. Mm-hmm. I can't do a tenth back then of what I could do now. Mm-hmm. And it's the same like everybody on the planet. But at that point in time, I gave the best of what I did, mm-hmm. which wasn't much, brakes, struts, shocks, and, some minor repair.
Right.
I was only 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I gave the best of what I did, and this is where people, I think, screw up a lot. And this is the fake that happens in the world. You can't charge, I'll say, Nordstrom pricing, Saks Fifth Avenue. You can't charge Nordstrom pricing and give Walmart service. Mm. You do that, you're going to be out of business quick.
Right.
Because the public ain't stupid.
Right.
They're going to know that they're getting scammed.
Yeah.
So when you talk about how you're going to price your service, first off, it has to be understood. This is the best there is. I do a brake job. I know how to do a brake job like nobody else.
Yeah. I'm
going to clean all the sliding surfaces, make sure there's no rust on them. I'm going to lube, where the pads go on and they slide and everything. I'm going to clean it all up, and I'm going to make, I'm going to do it right. Bleed the brakes proper, get it all done right.
Right.
And then you go from there. And then you price that according to what it takes you to do that job. Don't look at somebody else.
That's the point that I want. Hoping you'd hit on.
If we all do it. We all did it. I did it. I called up the dealership and said, what's your hourly rate? And I found out what their hourly rate was. And, I started out that way. Everybody does. I don't think you're going to get away from that when you first start,
Right.
And you're going to be, if they're 30, you're going to be 25. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's too scary.
Yeah.
So give yourself some leeway, and okay, go ahead and do that.
Right.
You got to get on the starting line. So go ahead and do that.
Right.
But then one of the smartest guys I know, he's a billionaire now, was a friend. He was actually an accountant. He was working for a firm back then, and this is 30 plus years ago. Would come into my shop and he'd say to me, "Dave, you busy?" "Oh man, I'm so busy. Raise your prices." "I can't raise my prices, man. These guys the dealerships that Dave, raise your prices." I'd raise my prices. He'd come in a couple months later. "Dave, are you still?" "Oh, I'm so busy." Raise them again. "I can't do that, man. I can't do that." And actually, that is how you should price yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're staying busy and you're too busy, you're probably not, you probably could increase your value because people are noticing that you have value. You know, that's where you'll eventually get.
Yeah.
I think there's people out there that, let's talk about Dave Kindig. There's a perfect example.
Yeah.
You're not going to get him to even grab a pencil, one of his crayons, or he doesn't use crayons. I meant coloring pencils or something like that.
Right.
He's not going to grab one for less than $150,000.
Yeah.
And he's worth it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. He won't slap on some Bondo and
Right.
hit it with a spray can.
Yeah. That's not what he's doing because would be below what his quality level is now. Now, did he start out that way? Nope.
Right.
But he's risen to that, and he's got the public now that he can do that. So, welcome to the world of business. That is what opportunity can do for you.
Yeah.
If you do good quality.
Now, I see you as this macho guy that's like, I can just.
Oh, thank you.
I can.
Stop it, son. Stop it. No,
but it's true, in the way your passion and what you talk about, I think really drives through a lot of what you do. But what about the times that you feel like you're just kicked in between the shorts and like, I'm going to have to close the doors? Have you ever had a time in business? I know the answer, but I'm asking it for everybody out there. Have you ever had a time that you're like, we're going under, I'm going to have to close the doors?
I'm famous, and you know this. I know why you're asking this question because you want me to be. I'm sitting here telling you to be humble, and now you're going to make me humble. I have this famous saying: I'm dying here. Sure. Remember that's where the fear. I think you're constantly in fear of failure. I don't know. I don't know anybody on this earth that's not walking around. Don't let it stop you. What does fear? If you're in fear that a grizzly bear is chasing you, you're gonna. Well, I guess that's the wrong analogy because they say you should probably stand still with a grizzly. If you take off, he's gonna eat you.
But I get what you're saying.
You're alert.
Yeah.
Fear is
you're gonna do whatever
you get.
Yeah.
I got to go to survival mode, and it makes you. What you don't want to do is freeze and not do anything. Inaction is a great way to just die.
Right.
You're just gonna die.
Yeah.
So
how many times has that happened?
The truth?
Yeah.
Miles, I don't know. Let's see. There's how many weeks in 35 years? I don't know. I wouldn't say it's every week, but there's seasonal things. There's life changes, like when me and your mother almost got divorced. It's been almost 8-10 years now or something, those times. It's just life, thank God, knock on wood, we haven't had a child that's, suffered. I know so many people that have lost a child. There's so many things that, just could derail the best laid plans. But if you just keep going, I go back to this, it's not motivation, it's discipline. It's discipline. You got to never give up. You got to never give up on your dream. You can't.
Yeah.
But for goodness sake, make sure your dream is yours.
Right.
Do yours. Find that passion. Don't chase the money. I tell everybody that.
Well, you made me and every brother before we came to work here. I mean, we grew up mopping floors and clean toilets and stuff like that. But when we came to 16 or so years old, you're like, go get a freaking job.
Yeah.
Go out there, experience the world, do some different things, like find where your passion is. Because I don't want you here for me. I want you here for you, and I want it to be your dream. And
that was a big fear.
You kind of it's almost like a bird, pushing its young out of the nest to fly. It's like, get out there. Like, you're gonna hit the ground. You gotta learn how to spread your wings. Yeah,
one of my biggest fears with you, because you wanted to do this, and was I never. Oh man, if you only knew how bad my fear that I would someday hear come out of your mouth. I did this for you, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like a death sentence to me. So I never wanted to hear that from any of my children. I don't want my children doing anything for me.
Right.
That's not the way this world works.
Right.
So I wanted you to do, and so kids don't do what your parents, you do what you want to do, because you're the one that's got to go the distance of that. Your old man, your mom, they're going to be dead someday.
Yeah.
And you want to end your life when you lie down feeling like, you did what you did.
Yeah. So you're going to be doing this course. Do we know when it's going to launch? That's going to teach people about how to determine your passion, discipline, financial strategy, how to start a business, everything like that. When are we going to do that?
I'm checking my schedule right now.
Okay.
I'm working it up.
Yeah.
It's in the process. I think we should probably 2 months.
Yeah.
60 days. I think I should have it all wrapped up. I mean, we have the outline for it. We'll go to video, but there's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about what first off, we're going to talk about, kind of the first thing is helping people decide what their passion. I think a lot of people don't even understand how to identify what their passion is.
Do you think that's because they've been told for most of their life to do this, go do that?
Sure.
They haven't been, I guess, going back to the bird learning how to fly. Like they've just been cradled for so long.
Oh yeah, the world's dude. What's the greatest motivator for any human on the planet Earth?
Let's see if I'm right. An empty stomach.
An empty belly, bro.
An empty belly.
An empty belly.
Belly, stomach. Yeah.
That's it. I told you that.
Yep.
You don't go do. I'm sorry. You're going to be hungry.
Right.
And I know a lot of people out there like, oh my gosh, that guy's terrible. No, I think it's more terrible to enable people and not give them a taste of real reality.
Yeah.
Because then they're always just looking for a handout because that's what they've got.
I'm going to be fed no matter what I do.
Right. Yeah. So, I think the most important thing as a father, that I can do for you boys was teach you that no worky, no eaty.
Growing up, it was, it was tough sometimes to be like, well, why don't you just let us do this? Or we want to just go play with friends. I remember countless Christmas vacations or something like that. We were here working at the shop, moving out benches and toolboxes and stuff like that, and mopping the floors.
Yeah, cleaning up so that I could get to work next week.
Yeah. And if when phones were you pay as you go kind of thing, we would not have I can't even remember what it was, but we would not have the minutes if we didn't work and we didn't pay our keep first.
Oh, that's right. I forget about that.
Yeah.
It used to be minutes weren't unlimited. You had to buy your package.
Yeah, and if we went over, it was like it was crazy.
Data was the same way.
Yeah. And so at the time I was like, oh, my dad's so mean. But in hindsight, I'm like, I'm doing the same thing to my kids because of the value that it gave me of knowing that if I want something, great, determine what I want and earn it. It's not just going to be given to you. But also at the same time as a parent, I have this desire to just give my kids whatever they want. And if they want something, I work hard. I can earn it for them.
You got that wrong, son. Those are my grandkids. You make them starve, and I'll spoil them.
Okay,
that's the dynamic there, dude.
But it's from both perspectives of being a kid and feeling like, oh, my dad's mean, but being a parent and being like and getting both sides.
It's a tough balance,
It is a tough balance.
It's a tough balance, and I mean it's the same in a business. You think about that. It's you don't know when you're enabling somebody to their detriment or into yours.
Right.
If your son keeps stealing, starts out with a candy bar, and then he's stealing a bike, and then he's now he's 14, he's stealing a bike. Started out taking candy bars, and you didn't really open a can of whoop ass on him, over the thing.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he's 18 and he's out, eventually he's robbing somebody at gunpoint. I mean, it can lead to that because he never suffered the consequences. The worst thing you can do to a human being is remove the consequences of their actions from them, whatever that may be, whether it's good, you don't let them reap the rewards of their labor. That's just as terrible as you trying to cover the consequences of their poor behavior and decision making. And it is hard as a parent. It is the hardest thing in the world.
Right.
I think, this is one of the things a lot of people say, how could God let that happen? How could God let another child be sexually abused or murdered or anything like that?
Right.
Because he is perfect in the sense that he understands an eternity, but he understands in the moment that he can't swoop down and remove the consequences of those actions because it is a detriment to all his children.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the answer. A lot of people would go up against that. I'm sure there's going to be some people that are going to comment on that and say that's crap.
It's a hard subject. I mean, it's nice to be rescued, but that removes our agency. And that agency is also his greatest gift. Yeah,
that's another whole podcast. We can get into that some other time. Yeah.
But so I think all of these things are good. I think the finding your passion, getting not just motivation but discipline, learning how to navigate finances and cash flow and other things like that. I think these are all things I'm excited for because I'm constantly learning, and so it's nice to dive deep into it.
There's so many things that like what you just mentioned. Those are important things, but the other thing is some of the new stuff that's available that I really want to help people with is this understanding social media, how to leverage that to their benefit so they can launch, so they're not walking around passing out business cards.
Yeah.
They can bring people into their business, whatever it is. I mean, a business like, hey, wouldn't it be not? Your mother loves flowers and she loves green plants in the house, but the poor woman does not have a green thumb. So her plants are constantly dying. So there's an opportunity there for some person to come around and take care of plantings and homes. And there's so many things you could do if you have a passion for it.
Yeah. So that'll be part of the. This lesson is also social media is and marketing yourself and giving yourself a brand. That's
how you're going to get customers, and then you can increase your value to those customers, and you'll find that out if you're passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining us in your own shop.
Always good to be here.
I hope everybody, the value that I've gotten from my dad over the years and these stories are so valuable to me, and I really appreciate it. And so thank you for being a guest again on the podcast.
Anytime.
But for everybody out there watching, thank you so much for joining us. Dad, Dave, as many people know you, thank you so much for your knowledge, for your passion, for everything that you share with this industry. Whether you're in a trade, whether you're not in a trade, whether you're in school or not in school, I think the lessons that we've learned here today are valuable, and there's more to come as you've shared. So thank you again for joining us on another episode of the Builders Lounge. We'll see you next time.